Batman The Outsiders issue 10, Brian Edward Hill writing with Dexter Soy on the art. A book which I have steadily been growing more and more fond of, largely because I think Dexter Soy's art's amazing, but I think Brian Hill's story is really coming together. And much like Supergirl, the art flows so well in this, in the way it's building up these characters. And Batman.
I said this. I said this on Twitter that Brian Hill, the way he writes his characters, it feels like a pre-Flashpoint era, right? That these are all lower level characters, so it feels like the stakes for them, like they don't have to do certain things. This doesn't have to tie into everything. So Hill can just write the story that he wants. And I don't know if this is a nostalgia thing or what, but while the book always isn't the best, I enjoy reading it. I look forward to it. Like, it's one of the first things I read every month when it comes out.
Yeah, it's a super cozy read. Like, I find it very comforting to read this book. And, so Batman's with, is it Sophia, who's, like, wrecking stuff at the start of the issue.
Yeah, she's angry.
Yeah. And he's trying to convince her that she can be, what she needs to be and not be, like, the angry, like, slave to, like, what Raz tried to make her and all the rest of it. More interesting for me, though, is, like, the others, like, Duke and Cassandra and Katana are kind of like debating like what to do about Black Lightning and say what's going on. And like, Duke's a little bit kind of angsty. He's like, oh, so you think you're in charge? He's like, well, no, I'm just like, if someone has to take the lead, but if you want to take it, and he's like, no, that's fine, you can take the lead. Basically,
Duke, shut up, Duke.
Yeah,
that's how I felt.
So so they're kind of like gearing up, and we get some of this stuff set up where Bruce goes to get this information from the scientist, and there's a nice little joke here at the end where she's kind of looking at the big Batman or the Bat Gargoyle-esque painting on the train station wall, whatever it is that she's kind of looking at, kind of going, billionaires, like.
Well, I like here that basically he goes to get information on who Caliber was before, and she's not a scientist, she's a journalist.
Oh, sorry, there you go.
Yeah, and so he's like, well, tell me what you know, and she's like, well, I don't know why a billionaire would want this information. And then she tells him that he's this mercenary. He's had experiments done on him and whatnot. And
ties to Raz, ties to Shiva.
Raz and all this.
And he says
he pays her to forget the information. I'll pay you double.
Yeah, just forget you ever read this and never look at it again because it's dangerous, and you don't want people knowing you know this, kind of thing. And then we have Shiva got Black Lightning last issue. She showed up and sort of like met him. And they're having food, and she's kind of pitching him that she wants to take down Raz.
Yep. Because he's taking everything from her.
Yeah, and she wants Cassandra to think of her as a mother again. And obviously Jefferson's like, oh, she's never going to think of you that way again, and yada yada yada. But she's like, no, I want my daughter to trust me. I want you to help me do that. And so it kind of sets this up, and they realize that there's people watching them in the restaurant. So we get a bit of an action scene here where Shiva like throws a knife, which, by the way, fantastic panel or series of panels. Where
throws a butter knife, and takes out one of the guys. So the person they're there keeping an eye on is that Markovian weapons dealer that we dealt with in Brian Hill's detective.
Yeah, you're right.
Story. And so they're there following her because we know that she's going to try to meet with Roz. And if they can find out what she's doing with Roz, they can take Roz down. So they take out her security detail. And her name's Dementieva, which cracks me up.
And they try and get away in a car. Jefferson blasts them with a lightning bolt.
Yep.
And basically, it's a very fun action scene. Art's really good. Because it's not an issue with a lot of action. This is basically a big action scene of the issue. And they're trying to talk to her on the beach. And that's when Caliber and Ishmael and Karma, they all show up, and they're all sort of, because Karma was from his Detective Comics arc, if you remember. I couldn't remember his name, so I'm glad you did. I recognized him. I recognized the outfit. I just didn't remember what he's called.
He's got the mask that makes you feel things, and he's upset with Bruce or Batman and whatnot. But I do kind of they show up and kill her.
I do kind of they kill her, and then so they two are on their own. The big cliffhanger is that a portal opens up. Or not a portal, sorry, like a smoke bomb, hits the ground, and Katana and Cassandra and Duke are there and saying, hey, we thought you might like some backup. But what I like about this, I like that, between Caliber and Ishmael, they set up these two characters, and then they revealed Caliber was actually working for the bad guy still, and they brought back his name again. Karma, thank you. I like that they've kind of formed a little trio of like sub bosses here. You know, like so these aren't the big bad, but like they feel like a nice level of like sub bosses before they get to Raz.
Yeah,
you know,
it does, and this feels like a League of Assassins. I was calling it a League of Shadows, but that was different. We had another story about the League of Shadows.
Yeah,
early, and that's what the split with Shiva. So it all fits in. I don't know if that's why it feels so comforting. Is because it fits in to a narrative that's been being told throughout Batman, and whatnot. But yeah, no, like you said, the sub bosses are all there, and then you have the other three to meet them. And I think it's funny that Karma's got a sword, and so they all seem to pair off here. You know, it's gonna be 5-on-3 at one point, but yep, Katana and Karma can fight and whatnot. Like, I'm excited to see what that action sequence looks like next month with Dexter Story. Batman's on his way with Sophia.
Yep.
They have theirs they're doing. So yeah, it's always a fun read. I really enjoy this book.
Yeah, honestly, this has kind of replaced Detective for me in the team book. And obviously, a couple of the characters are the same, but most of them aren't. But it's kind of fulfilling that spot in my my.
And this is the second time that Hill's brought up Markovia. If you know anything about Batman and the Outsiders, Geoforce is always a member, and he's the crown prince of Markovia. So I'm wondering if this is where this is leading. If we're gonna get him popping up at a certain point. Because as far as I know, like, we don't really have Tara, we don't have Brian there. So I'm curious to see how this plays out in this rebirth before the generational stuff happens.
Yeah. No, I'm having a blast, and I think Soy's art's adding a lot to it for me. But like, I do like what the story's doing, and I like having time with all these characters. I like that Batman is taking a backseat a lot of the time to let these other characters have their time. Which is really nice. So, what are you giving it, Matt?
I'm giving this an 8. Solid, thoroughly enjoyable.
I agree with the 8. I think I've been enjoying this book every month.